Morning guys, welcome back to Tim's Trades. So we're going to do a wee bit of a macro outlook this morning. I'll just go over Bitcoin. Well, I'm actually going to start with USDT dominance. We'll talk about Bitcoin on the macro kind of targets and one or two alts just to kind of, I've got Cardano, I'm looking at that a wee bit, and like I've said in the past, guys, show some stuff in the description. Comment on the video, like the video, keep the channel going because we're doing pretty good here, I'd say. All right, let's dive straight into it. We've got what I spotted this morning is a green dot of death. It's a green dot of death because we're looking at USDT dominance, and when that goes up, everything else goes down. Now, this has happened twice in this cycle, if you like, before, and it's resulted in some quite big moves on USDT dominance, and hence a dump on the market. So the first one I've got here, that kicked off in June 2024, 40% up on USDT dominance, and I think Bitcoin, that's your 30%, first 30% reduction there on Bitcoin. Second one is January 2025. That resulted in a 54% move on USDT dominance and 30 odd percent again on Bitcoin. And then you've got this one here. Now, I'm going to argue that this is a stronger signal than these previous two, and that's to do with the position of the stochastic and this volatility indicator at the bottom. So now, this volatility, if you don't really understand, is really just telling you how powerful a move is possibly going to be. When it's extreme lows, you're looking at a powerful move. When it's kind of dithering around up here, for example, this is corrective, volatility is contracting. Now, this is at extreme lows and stochastics at extreme lows. When you saw this last one, volatility was contracting, although stochastics rolling up. This one here, was kind of getting going, but these two are now aligned, and that tells me a much more powerful and probably bigger moves coming. I hate to say it. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm just telling you that setup's there, right? Balls are hairy, no crystals, so we can't tell the future. What we can do is look at Bitcoin, and we can see that, you can use the 5-day Gaussian channel. It gives you exactly the same result here, but this is just, this green moving average is a 55. Now, the last two times we got the correction, which was, we looked at these ones. It started in January, I think, that green dot. You got that move. The last one was January. Oh, no, that was your January. I can't remember the date. It was there 1 second ago. This is June 24 and January 25. So June 24 is that here. So it's looking at a top here, bam, down, and the other one's January 25. So that move. So that's where we are currently, right? We're looking at least a 30% correction. I've gone over this in the last few videos. But anyway, the point I'm making is because I'm looking at this USDT signal on stochastic and volatility, it's a much more powerful. There's an obvious chance that this can be a much deeper move. But I'm not going to say we're at the end of a cycle until we start seeing a close below this green 55. That's going to be a complete change of character, and that'll be a really powerful signal to say, right, okay, something different's happening. We're going into a much, much deeper correction, and then your next obvious place is a move to the old, what do you call it here, 200. Looking back to the last bear market, you can see you get your strong sell off. You get a first bounce there, but it even takes out the 200. That's really when you're in a bear market. But by that point, it's probably not. It's just going to go into this long form, like slow sideways consolidation. Now, that all makes the assumption we're in a 4-year cycle, and I'm not convinced we are, and I've been saying that for a long time. This cycle has been entirely different, and we don't have the macro top signals like the monthly RSI, which again I've described in the previous videos. So we're just going to take this a wee stage at a time, guys. I would expect at least a move to this, though, this green 55 over the next number of months. It's not imminent, right? Let's just watch and see how this one folds, and this will be a good buying area. But if we do a 30% correction like we've done last time, it's going to take you to 85, which does take out that green. So there's your quandary. Do we just do another 30% correction, and this relationship between the weekly is invalidated because we still go up? That's an option also, right? So, I'm not going to try and predict what's going to come in a few months' time. We just have to wait and see. Just be aware there is a very strong signal for a lot deeper coming. And I've said that since a week. I think the first time I said it was August 16th. Watch that video, August 16th. It's on my channel. So yeah, that's my thoughts. In the imminently short term, are we in a bounce region? And I would say aye. The trouble is, you don't know exactly when the bottom is, and you don't know when it's going to come. I was looking for some sort of indications on, your momentum indicators. Let's actually just go back on the index. It's much better. So if you drop on the daily, for example, you did get a wee drive of bullish divergence. It didn't result in much. Can we get a second one? Probably not, actually, looking at this. Or maybe. Nah. Well, this would have to grind up a bit higher. Either way, your stochastic's low, right? And so today, that's getting there. But it's not ready. It's going to take... I would say we're not going to see a proper bottom in reversal for another week, maybe even 2. So what's the potential scenario? You come down and this is going to be good support, I would argue. It's your main 382 off the 74k low. So 105 is good. Obviously it could wick through, might not get that low, but this area here, if it can come down, bugger about down here for a week or 2, then you can get your sort of bull trappy bounce, which might take you back up to 117, 118, and if it's really bull trappy, even 120 before it then continues down. But overall, I would say we're going lower. Now, it might not do anything like this. If it's really bearish, you'll know, because any bounce that comes off the likes of that 105, it'll just not get going. It'll fail at something like the 236. Let me get rid of all this crappy fucking lines. And if we imagine a scenario where you're right, we tag perfectly the 382, for example, you'll know it's super bearish if it just fails at the 382. That's like a powerful continuation to the downside signal. Let me move that out so you see it. So that would be 112. And that way shit's going to get real and you're going to go probably deeper, taking out that weekly, etc. But, the slower and maybe more nuanced play would be a move here and then a dither about up here to get everyone bullish again before it shits the bed. A lot of people are calling for this on X. I was thinking it myself for a long time, and now I'm starting to wonder, given this new 10-day setup, if it even gets that high. But I'm not going to try and pretend to know that in the meantime. If we want to kind of get a kind of zoomed in picture, I'll tell you what I've been doing this last little while. If we jump on like even the 4 hour. So, whoopsie. You could see we've got a wee bit of an area here where I started buying. You've got 2 wicks into the same region. So I got long here, and last night I actually closed off and took a wee short. And I just ran my retrace just off this wick high, and it was pretty spot on the 382. And this is what I was telling you about, this kind of, if things are bearish, I'll only tag the 382. But I don't expect necessarily, because we're in the weekend and I think there's a holiday tomorrow, that this just makes a new low now. So anyway, I've got in long here, short here, got a wee trade, back long again. Maybe we get a wee move up to like 111, something like that. And then I'll be short again, or I'll be flat, in fact. I might just take a flat position here and wait and see, because maybe price can grind around this region and you get a better bounce. Maybe you get that 105, but we're not going to know until market opens up next week and gives us some sort of indication of where it wants to go. But that's my kind of short-term game plan. Okay, that's enough on Bitcoin. I mentioned I'd talk a wee bit about alts, and some of them are forming quite like kind of this. Actually, that's interesting because I got it on Morpho. There's large channels forming to the upside, which are bear flags, basically. So I wonder to myself, if it follows what Bitcoin's going to do, you'll see a lot of charts with a similar channel where maybe it gives us another wee tag at the bottom side. Then you get a decent move up if Bitcoin gives us a bounce, and then you're looking at some really, if you want to short the market, some nice short opportunities on alts there. Cardano I had on the weekly because I was interested in a Cardano long. But now I put it on the weekly and just had a look at structure. Oh my god, those pens. What a pain. There's another one here anyway. Another channel formed on Cardano. And I just felt, maybe it's, this bottom side of this channel. I can't remember how I drew it. It's probably like that. But also, there is an important weekly area in terms of horizontal, and we're right on it. Now, if you look back along through price, here was resistance, here was support. Kind of whipped into it, got stuck underneath it. So we're testing that again. So I'm hoping that the weekly will hold this red line, and then we get a bounce. It's exactly the same as that Morpho chart I showed you, and then. So we're in a bouncy region here potentially for it tagged this 618, which is 8118, and it's kind of holding. So now it might come back down there again before a bounce emerges. I think it'll just bugger about a wee bit here. I don't expect too much imminently. It's going to do, like if Bitcoin buggers around and into the middle of next week, then you get this chance, and it might even give you something quite bullish, like a test to the top side of this channel, one more high along those lines, and then down. So you might get up as high as 120, or that's like 115 or something on Cardano. So there's a move potentially coming, assuming Bitcoin gets a wee bit of a bull trappy bounce. Then some also give you a decent run before you need to start taking profits and thinking about protecting your capital. Alright, as I say, there's loads of charts like this, but they're all looking quite similar, so I don't need to go over too many. Just check your charts. If you want me to look at something, guys, shall it in the comments. It helps the channel. Comment, like, subscribe. I was bringing you this dump quicker than anyone else I saw on X, so appreciate the feedback if you guys can give me it. Alright, peace out.